so that everyone is aware that we are at this point recording. I may need to be admitting individuals into the workshop as we start to talk. So I will stop every once in a while to admit people if we are having more coming in. Welcome to How to Manage Your Personal Finances. I wanted to go ahead and let you know what we will be discussing today. In this presentation, we will go ahead and discuss emotions or your emotional connection to money. We will also be talking about different types of expenses. We will discuss opportunities on how to reduce expenses and how to increase your income as well, and the importance of a credit score. All of these are major factors in how we manage our personal finances. It is very important that we understand where we are currently with our finances. Most people do not know. As a financial counselor, I will ask individuals, how much do you make? Do you know what your income is? Do you know how much rent you pay? And in most cases, they don't know. They'll tell me they don't know, or they'll tell me their income varies, or they don't know what their full rent is. So it's really important that to begin with, in any situation where you're going to begin to manage your personal finances, you understand that what your current financial situation is. So what I recommend usually is that you attempt to save all of your receipts for your month, how much you paid for everything, be it your water bill, be it your food, takeout, whatever you spend, and also track your bank account if you do have one to understand how much money is coming into your household as well. Set your personal finances, financial goals, and your priorities. We also want you to look at maybe creating a budget so that you have more clarity on what's coming in and what's coming out. Establishing some kind of an emergency fund, looking at what your debt's like, and scheduling regular reviews of your own for your own self, so you see where you are with your information. So let's begin with a little poll. I have a poll for everyone, and I want you to think about how you feel when you think about money. This poll is very specific in that it's asking you to think about what would happen in the first 5 questions are the ones you're going to use for the first question, and that is what would happen if you had no money and you needed to have bills paid. How would you feel? And that would be using responses 1 through 5. The second one is going to ask you um, to go ahead and where is it? To go ahead and respond to the what if you were to win the lottery? What would that feel like? How would you feel? Okay, so we want you to look at those two thoughts. And I had just found the poll, so I don't know where it is. Sorry about that. So why don't you go ahead and put it in the chat for me, okay? What would you feel? Give me 2 responses on what you would feel if you were to win, were to not have any money and you had bills to pay. That would be answer number 1. Give me 2 responses. And then 2 responses you were all of a sudden to win the lottery. Give me 2 emotional responses on how you would feel. I'll go ahead and I'll look at the responses and we'll start to look at that, okay? Put it into the chat box if you don't mind. So the question was twofold. One was, if you had a bills to pay and you had no income, no money, give me two emotions you would be feeling. And if you won the lottery, what two emotions would you be feeling? And so we have, let me go in and start looking at some of these responses. Okay. So for the first one, somebody indicated stressed and depressed. And they feel negative when they have no money and positive when they have money. If they had money or they won the lottery, thrilled and amazed. When I think about money, I think about survival. Depressed without the money, uh, that would be something. Uh, if they had no money, lost and sad. Stressed and anxious, anxious and scared. Sad and depressed, and elated and grateful. Fun and stressful. Excited, stress, guidance, and relief and happiness. So you can see that when it comes to money, emotions play a great part in that. Most of us think that financial stability is having money. Financial stability is more also having emotional stability. So it's important for us to understand that our emotional connection to money also brings us to the point of how we spend money. It comes back to our unconscious belief of money, what we call money scripts. Money scripts are usually unconscious, typical thoughts that we have that we don't know. They were developed as when we were children. They've been passed down generation to generation, family to and culturally. Um, they're not usually true, but it is something that even though we know it's not true, we still believe that. I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and we still believe it's true. Let me give you an example. Okay, my mother always told me that if I put my purse on the floor, my money would disappear. I know that's not true. All of you know that's not true. However, unconsciously, it was a belief that was put into my mind since I was growing up. Therefore, even though I know it's not true in my heart, in my mind, unconsciously, I never put my purse on the floor. So this is what we talk about when we talk about typical money scripts or money beliefs. Okay, that they are um, things that are happening that we believe to be true but are not. Does anyone else have a money script or a belief of that type that you may want to go ahead and tell me about? No? No one's willing to give me one? You can just unmute yourselves and give me a belief that you have when you were growing up. Or you can put it in the chat box if you feel more comfortable doing that. And somebody put, when you gift a wallet, it's good luck to place $1 in it.
That's true.
That's a belief. Yes? So this is what
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Well, there's different, this is all, this all comes down as we are growing up, our parents in honing us all of these different beliefs, all of these different types of thoughts. And even though we don't think of them consciously, unconsciously, they're in our mind and we react with them when it comes to money. And so that's how we then start to look at how we spend money. Money is usually, these kind of beliefs are usually broken down into like three different major categories, which is the money avoidance, money worship, and money status. So the money avoidance is where people think that money is bad, they fear it, they believe they don't deserve it. They see rich or wealthy individuals as greedy. So they see money as a negative, uh, something very negative. So therefore, they try not to have too many things. They try not to be in a place where they have too much. Then you have the money worshipers. These are the people that keep thinking that all of their problems would be solved if they had money. But no matter how much money they make, they can never afford what they want. So it's a chronic overspending type personality. And then you have the money status, where people believe that their worth is based, their self worth is based on their self
Juanita, quick
worth.
question.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Is there any way you can put the PowerPoint on because we can see the next slide. Is there any way you can just share one of the slides?
Oh, I thought I was seeing only one. All right,
No,
sorry.
that's okay.
Let's go ahead, display.
Mine's stuck on how do you feel when you think about money? So it's not moved to the next one.
Okay. Uh, I'm still trying to set this up so you can only see. Is that better? No, we lost it all.
No, we can still see both. If you're not able to do it, I would just, I know some had made a comment that's a little bit distracting because they're trying to focus on the one you're doing, but they can already see the next one. But if you can't do it, then that's totally fine.
Okay, let's see what we can do. Is that better?
Nothing is moving.
Is it still the same?
Yeah.
No, nothing's moved.
It's frozen on my end.
All right, so let's do this. Let me,
If you unshare it and then maybe share again.
does that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you, Juanita.
No problem. And thanks for you to tell me that. I was able to then now see the poll that I was trying to do earlier and wasn't able to do. So at this point, we're just going to continue to work with what we've got. Technical difficulties, folks. So we were talking about the different categories and how we are a part of this unconscious thoughts about money and how it affects us when we spend money, right? So it helps us to think about money in different ways. And it's funny how something as simple as money creates all of this wealth of emotions in us, and it's also driving us on how we spend. So in order for us to start looking at how to manage our finances, the first thing we need to do is identify how everyone spends. Everyone has expenses, right? Everyone. Whether you have income, whether you don't have income, whether you have a job, whether you don't have a job, there is always going to be expenses. So we want to look at the different types of expenses. Usually there's two categories. One is the required expenses. Those are usually your rent, your utilities, your food. Right now, actually, with this with the COVID-19, you need to have a cell phone. You need to have some kind of social media, internet service so that you can be connected, right? Voluntary expenses include your cable in some cases, because in some cases people need them for their, to help them with childcare. Movies, sports equipment, going out with friends, you know, gym memberships. Those are all expenses that are voluntary that you really don't need in order for you to cover your basic necessities at home. So required expenses usually mean anything that your basic needs, your food, your water, your utilities, your rent. If you need your car to get around and you believe that that's a requirement, then that as well. If you work down the street, you may not need it, right? Voluntary expenses are things that you don't have to spend on, but you choose to spend on. Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, so we're going to move forward. Are your monthly expenses less than or equal to or more than your monthly income? This is why we want you to do a budget. A budget would identify these questions for you. It would help you understand where you are with your income every month, how much money you will have to take out of your earnings to pay your bills, and if there's any money left over. So if there is no money left over, that means that you need to look at reducing your income, right, your expenses. But if you have money left over, then you may want to look at maybe building an emergency fund or looking at other ways to start setting goals for you to start saving for stuff. And you're right. Some of you do have to get rid of all of your expenses, especially if you anticipate an reduction in your income. So if you know that your income is going to be reduced, let's say that you are thinking of going back to school and you have to drop your hours at work from 40 hours to 30 hours. That means that at least $100 a week are going to be reduced of your income. That means $400 a month. So that means that you can't continue to have the same expenses every month if your income is less. So then it's going back in and doing and making those hard choices on what you can reduce in order for you to be able to get by until you complete your educational courses or goals. Now, let's say you anticipate an increase in income. I know that in one of my other workshops, somebody told me that every time they would get a pay increase, they would take that money and put it away as a savings because they were living on the other income. They were living fine with the income prior to the increase. So they just decided that it was best to start putting some of that money away. Does anyone have any questions on any of this? Please feel free to answer. I mean, we want it to be an open forum. We want you to be able to participate and understand how money management is working. And if you have any questions, it's a good time. So how can you increase your income? Let's think about that. Does anyone can anyone in the chat put different options that they believe would be good? For example, I know some of my clients that would make tamales for Thanksgiving and Christmas. This is an additional income that they make every year, and that money gets put away so that if they have any deficit during the year, they're able to take from that money. Recycling, garage sales, selling old clothes and things around the house. Correct. What is this? Money set aside, leave alone. New trades, doing hair. Correct. Now you can also go secures. Okay. Swap meets. Condinas. Correct. Setting aside money from each paycheck. So there are different ways for you to increase your income. Maybe I had some clients that would take a course. They took a course in income tax, doing income taxes, and they did income taxes during the income tax season. Another way for you to increase your income is to reduce some of your costs. For example, where we work, our insurance costs a certain amount of money. But where my husband works, their insurance is almost $500 less than our insurance. So I took myself off of our insurance and I put myself on his insurance, and I increased my monthly income by $500. This is a way that you reduce your debt. And what that does is it alleviates some of your income. So you're in reality increasing your income. No more Starbucks. Right. Eating out less every month. Correct. So how can you reduce expenses? Some people have just started saying that. No more Starbucks. Think about this. If you were to spend $10 a day on Starbucks, $10 a day at 365 days a year, that's $3,650 a year. Can you imagine if you were to just take that money from your Starbucks expenses and put it away? At the end of the year, you'd have at least $4,000 or $5,000. And I know a lot of people like and love coffee, but this is what I found, that it's not that you don't love the coffee, it's that you love the idea that people are seeing you with a Starbucks cup. Now, I buy Starbucks coffee, I bought a Starbucks cup, and I make my Starbucks coffee at home. I go out, and when they see my Starbucks coffee cup, it got Starbucks coffee in there, but it's only costing me pennies on the dollar, okay? So think about different ways that you can also look at that and still be able to continue to have what you like without the expense, you know? So these are some of the things that you want to think about. How do you reduce some of the expenses every month so that you're able to then go ahead and have more income every month? Okay, maybe there's clothing out there clothing that's in your closet. Think about this, clothing that's in your closet. All of us have done this. We have all of this clothes in there that we've bought over the years, and some of them still have tags on them because we've never worn them. What about going out there, selling them, or trading for something else with friends? Now you've reduced some of your expenses. When it comes time for school, look through your drawers, look through all the things, all of your knick-knack boxes and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of pins, there's a lot of other paper, so that you don't have to spend too much when the kids are going back to school. Yes, Kegerator's Poshmark, correct. Going straight to your money. One person is indicating that your money should go straight to your savings account. That is a really good idea if you are able to do that. My rule of thumb is anywhere between 10 to 15% of your check should be going into a savings account and into retirement. So that when you least expect it, you have money put away that you didn't even know you had, okay? When we decided to go ahead and purchase our home, we had been putting away money into a savings account that we couldn't touch. Because I'm one of those people that if I have the money in my bank account, I'm going to use it. So one of our financial planners indicated that we should put it into one of their accounts. So in order for us to get that money back, we needed to ask her to release it back into our account. So when we started thinking about the purchasing of the home, we went and looked to see how much money we had in savings everywhere. And it turned out that we had enough for a down payment. Without even expecting it, we had been putting away money. It had been money that was just, we didn't even think about it. And at the end, we had this money there. So even though you think you can't save money, here's the thing, that the more money you have, the more money you're going to spend if you don't have a budget. If you don't know how much money is coming in and how much money is coming out. You also need to have or be able to work on how to save for emergencies. Emergencies are one of the most important things that take money from your regular income every month. Most people fall into debt because they had an emergency or something happened and they had to take money from their regular money, their regular monthly expense money. So you should always be putting away at least some money. Okay? How do you do that? You divide up your income. I usually, for those of you that have taken some of my workshops, you know that I talk about my circle. half of your income, half of your monthly income should be for your rent, your utilities, and your cell phone. 1/4 of your income should be for all of your household expenses. That means any expenses that you have, your car insurance, your food, your cable bill, your credit card debt, all of that. 1/8 of your income is for savings, and 1/8 of your income is for fun, because you are all going to want to go out to dinner, out with friends, out to do things. If you don't have money designated for that,
Could you say that?
I'm sorry? Repeat
I'm
that?
sorry. Could you say that slower? Could you say that slower? About half of your monthly income should be to your rent or basics or whatever? Yeah.
Sure. Uh, Let me put it here. Here's a circle, okay? Do you see that? This half right here should be your rent, your utilities, and your cell phone. So let's say your income is $2,000 a month, right? Excuse me, I'm still trying to get good at this. So $1,000 are for your rent, utilities, and cell phone, right? That leaves $500 for your household expenses. $250, sorry about that, guys. My writing on this is not too good. $250 for fun and $250 for savings a month. Okay? Now let's say that when you put all the expenses in this section here, you end up with $1,000 of expenses, right? But that means that and this is 1/4 of your designated income, right? What this is saying is that you actually need $4,000 in order for you to be in a good place with your income. The other thing that this may mean is that you need to start reducing some of these expenses, right? Because you don't have enough. If you're spending more than $1,000 here, you're spending 50% of your income in your household expenses. That's not leaving you any money for emergencies. It's not leaving you any money for fun. Okay? Does that help?
Okay.
Okay? Yes, somebody's saying that they go to Aldi and they're saving way more money than they used at Albertsons. I actually use Aldi. I like it, but everybody is different. You know, everybody has different thoughts on that. Okay, so let's continue with the financial component. Possible solutions that we were talking about for you to be able to manage your money and so that you have enough at the end of the month. Find benefits and other resources that you may be eligible for, okay? So remember I talked about the fact that my husband's medical insurance is less than mine by almost $500. That's a savings, that's a resource that I was able to tap into to reduce some of my expenses and increase my income. The other one was that at his work, they give us a discount for our car insurance, our house insurance, and for our cell phones. So we were able to tap into his benefits from there in order for us to be able to reduce more on our cell phones, on our medical insurance. My agency actually, because I work for the city, we're able to get a reduction on our car and house insurance. Make sure that you have a good budget. Now, a budget is a live document. What does that mean? It can change as your income increases, as your expenses increase. It can also happen. It can also change for you. All right. The other thing is to take emotion out of cutting the expenses. You want to reduce expenses voluntarily, but you need to take the emotion out of this. I have clients that are paying up to $400 or $500 a month just on their cell phone bill because they want to have all the bells and whistles that they can on these devices. But can you afford it is the question. If you cannot afford all of that, then you need to take a hard look and start to see, okay, how can I make this work for me?
I have a question with that, Juanita. How
Yes.
do we, I know this is like, so how do you, because I've already talked to like my carrier, and this is when my money was great working for the county. And I try to eliminate that expense, but because I'm in a contract, there's no way to eliminate that. So like, do you know if there's any resources about that? You know what I mean? Like there's a contract.
Yes.
It's not like I can go to Cricket or, you know what I mean? I'm in a contract.
What I would suggest is this. This is what I did. I looked at what it would cost to get me out of the contract, okay? And if it was going to be less than what it was going to cost me to continue to be on the contract for another year or so, I just went ahead and paid it. The other thing, there are other cell phone companies that will offer you a less expensive option, and they will pay off your old contract. So, but you need to
I get it. Mm-hmm.
You have to go out and shop around and look to see what's out there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's really important that if you need to just spend that additional, I mean, I think when we were looking at our cell phone, it was going to cost me $280 to get out of the contract that I still had a year on. And it was going to cost me like $1,500 to continue to be on that contract.
Yeah, see, that's what I need to do because
So that's what you want to do.
That's majority of my bill is device payments, and I get it. Yeah, I've reached out to see who can give me such and such to pay off those devices because I'm not paying high for my actual bill. It's only about $100 a month, but majority of it is device payments. So you can't just back out of those device payments and get a free phone. It doesn't work like that.
Correct. And that's what you want to be able to do then. Go ahead and shop around and see if there's somebody that's willing to they pay up to $600 in some cases to get you out of another contract.
Over to their company. Okay,
right.
Got it.
But at the same time, you want to make sure that the cost for going over is going to be less. So you got to do a little bit of homework.
Right. Okay, thank you. I was just curious.
No, I hope that was helpful.
No, it was. Thank you.
Okay. And so take emotions out of this. I mean, I know that sometimes our family I want this, and how is it going to look, and da. But you know what? At the end of the day, getting food on the table, paying your rent, and getting your utilities paid is way more important, right? Do not use your credit cards to offset your expenses. You don't know how many times I hear people tell me, it's that I don't have any money, so I'm using my credit cards. Okay, but you had good credit before. Now your credit is going down and down and down, the FICO score. And if you ever want to move, if you ever need to move to a more inexpensive unit, now your credit score is too low for you to move. Because at this time and age, credit scores have to be at least at 680 for you to be able to get approved for for any type of housing at this point. So if you've dropped your credit score below that, it's going to take a lot of work to get it back up, which means that then you have to stay where you are and deal with that slumlord, landlord, or whoever else, or deal with whatever, neighbors that are really not nice until you can get your credit score back up. So it's really important for you to keep your credit score as high as you can. And the only way to do that is to keep your credit card usage low. Okay? And look for other ways for you to increase your income.
Well, how do you save when you are just a single parent and you don't have a partner to rely on for an extra income, and that's my situation. I do have, benefits for my son. My son's dad, he's passed away. And my oldest child's father, he's nowhere in the picture. But despite that, still making it, making my oldest, she has been sickly, so it never really left me time to, be able to
I hear
find a
you.
career,
Mhm.
that I'd be stable in. I mean, how do you do that when you're the only one, the only one, you know?
I was a
And
single.
I see what you're saying about doing that. You know what I'm saying? Finding resources that you may be eligible to receive, but even if you do, sometimes you don't. They say you make too much, but you really don't, and it's just weird. I don't.
I hear you. I was a single mom for a very long time. Remember, guys, those of you that are on the line that are in my single parent program, you've heard my testimonial on how difficult it was, and I understand. I used to have to make 2 gallons of milk out of one, powdered milk, and divide up the regular milk, and then use the powdered milk and make 2 gallons of milk. Take the juice, and instead of buying, water it down, make 2 gallons of juice from one. Sometimes where you want to look at is not how much money is coming in, but how you're effectively using that money. So somebody is right now telling me that sometimes it's not letting your food go bad. And that was one of the things that I learned very young, okay, when I was trying to make ends meet. I had to make sure that I bought in bulk. But when I bought in bulk as a single parent, because you get the food stamps, or if you don't get the food stamps, you have to divide up your money into 4 weeks or into weekly expenses. Let's say that. So if you're spending $100, if you have $400 in food stamps, you're going to spend $100 on food, right? You're going to buy at least $20 worth of meat. You're going to buy at least $20 worth of dairy and so forth, right? And then you're going to take those big bulks of food and you're going to divide it up into 4 or 5 sections and put those away. Because what happens is if you buy the bulk and you pull it out, you have to do it all. And if you make it all, then the kids are going to eat it all that day, and then you don't have anything for the rest of the week. But if you divide it all up, fruit, cut it up, because if you don't cut it up, they're not gonna eat it. Vegetables, cut it up. Cook on the weekends and make food that's not going out. What I found when I do a lot of budgets for individuals is that they spend a lot of money buying takeout. I had one household, and I remember it specifically. She was making $3,600 a month. She was only paying, I think it was $800 or $900 in rent. And she didn't have a car payment. She didn't have any bills, but she was paying almost $2,600 a month in takeout food because she wasn't cooking. She would make breakfast. She would go out and buy breakfast. She would go out and buy lunch, and she would go out and buy dinner for all 5 of the kids. So that's why I say when we started this, I indicated that you should take all your receipts for the month, put them in an envelope, and see how much you're spending and where you're spending it, right? Once you figure that out, then the thing is to find out how do we reduce and work on all of those things. One of the things that I do as a credit counselor is help you with that. I can set up, or we can set up an individual meeting with each and every one of you, and we can set up individual, we can work on creating a budget that fits you and your needs, okay? So I invite you to email me. Most of you have my email address and you know how to reach me, okay? Let's see. Understanding your credit score. It's very important that you understand your credit score and how it works. 35% of your credit score is based on payment history. What does that mean? How do you pay your bills? How many delinquencies you have? How many past dues you have? Here's the thing, and I always tell this to my clients. If you're late with a credit card payment, even if you pay it one day before the 30-day is up, the 30 days are up, you won't get a 30-day late. You get a 30-day late once you go over the 30-day period of when your payment was due. Try as best as you can, even if you pay 2 days, 5 days, 10 days, 15 days late, but pay the bill so it doesn't go into a past due status. because that is the hardest thing for us to get off as credit counselors if you've been late. And it takes anywhere between 3 to 4 years for it to fall off your credit report.
Juanita, I have a question.
Sure.
On that, okay, so let's say you used your credit, you don't use it often because you don't, you trying to keep it at the 30%. But let's say you used it, you did a big purchase, and then you returned the item, and so that money went back to the credit card. Would that positive coming back to your credit card, do they take it as a payment, or do you still have to do your payment? No,
you still have to do your payment. They take it as it's a reimbursement. It's just, okay, it's like if somebody were to ask you to lend them money, and then they come back and ask you to lend them a little bit more, and their payments are due on a certain date, and they come back and you say, you know what, I didn't need this money after all, but I'm still gonna keep making payments on this other one. Okay, same thing.
Okay.
All right, you still have to make those payments. Don't make a mistake on that. Keep your payments, as you were saying, keep them low. If you don't have a lot of debt, then you won't get into a lot of trouble with paying back those bills. Okay, the more credit cards you have, the more debt you have, the harder it is for you to keep up with them. And if there's a change in your income or a change in anything or you have an emergency, the easier it's going to be for you to fall behind on your bills. Okay, the other high number or score amount is 30% of the outstanding debt. Remember, we're just talking about that. Keep your accounts low. Try to keep your portions at least 30% to 25% below your credit limit. So I usually tell people that if you have $1,000 credit limit, don't owe more than $250. Why? Because when they add the fees, they add the interest, and they add everything else, it's going to go up to the 30%. And then you're like, why am I making all these payments and this payment isn't going down and this bill isn't going down? The more remember that usually when you start out building credit, you're going to get those higher interest rate credit cards. So a very small portion of a minimum payment amount is going to go towards the bill. That's why you want to pay more than what the minimum payment that is required is. So if you need to pay $35 a month, pay $50. At least $15 more are going into that balance, and you'll start to see it coming down. But if you're just making the minimum payment, it's more than likely, especially if you have one of those First Premiers, those Merricks, those Indigos, those Cap Ones, those Credit Ones, those are all credit cards for people that are starting to build their credit score. And so they usually have very high interest rates. You can also set up auto pay. Here's the other thing. When you get a credit card, you need to know when they close out the monthly statement. Whenever they close out the monthly statement, whatever balance is there, that's what you're going to show on your credit report. So let's say that they closed the monthly statement on the 15th. You made the payment on the 17th, and you paid off the credit card. That's not going to show up on your credit report until the following month, because until the next statement comes out. So make sure you understand when that happens so that you make the payments before and it's able to reflect on your credit score as coming down versus going up. Okay? Time or length since you've opened your credit report, your credit card or any kind of credit. They take that and they average it out over all of your credit cards. So the longer the credit history, the better your credit score. You can get one of those balance transfers. I'm seeing somebody saying that on the balance transfers with 12 to 16 months of no interest. But here's the thing with that. If you're disciplined like you, Tyler, that's good because most people will take that, transfer all the money to a zero interest for 12 months and pay off the debt. But see, some people will move everything over, they freed up their credit cards, and then they start using them again. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to have too much debt, okay? New credit lines. What that does, and the reason it does a 10% is because it averages out your history over all of the credits that you have. So you have a credit card that has 10 years and you have a new one that has, you have 3 new ones that are like a year old. Now you have 4 or 5 credit cards averaging about 3 to 5 years each, if you average it all out. It reduces your credit score. So try not to be opening up too many credit cards at the same time, opening up too many accounts, getting too many inquiries. Inquiries will last on your credit report up to 2 years. Okay? It's good to have diversity in your credit. Maybe revolving credit cards, maybe an installment loan of some type. Doesn't have to be anything big. Maybe a store or a traveler's credit card. But if you only have credit cards or if you only have student loans, that's not going to help your credit score. iBill reminder apps, okay, that's a good one. So I'm just looking at some of the notes, the chats. They're talking about iBill reminder apps. So there's apps that remind you about when your bills are due. Also auto payments, if you're good at that. Some of us are good at having auto payments. Some of us are not. Because when you have auto payments set up, that means that the money is going to be pulled out of your account every month at a certain time. And you have to have enough money in that account in order for that to happen. For example, my mortgage payment and our car payments are paid that way. They're automatically pulled out. Utilities are different because with the utility bills, sometimes they come up super high and you never know what the amounts are. So anything that's a fixed amount, you can manage and enter into your budget. Anything that is not fixed is more difficult to use or put in as an auto pay because you don't know what's going to come out of your account, which means you have to have more money saved in there. And some of you or some of us can't have a lot of money saved in those accounts. So to summarize, do not manage money emotionally. Here's the thing. Most of us parents are guilty sometimes, or we feel guilty because we're working and we don't spend a lot of time with our kids. So when we go to the store, we take them with us. And the first thing they do is, I want this, I want that. And you feel bad to say no. Sometimes it's better not to take them to the market with you because you're going to spend a lot more money there. Okay? Take them to other places, create other types of outings that don't involve them going where you're going to spend too much money. Utilize benefits available to you in the community. We send out food bank information. We send out different types of, there's free cell phone services out there. There's all kinds of, you can apply for food stamps. You can apply for Medi-Cal. Look to see what benefits are out there that you're able to partake in. Or in my case, look at your employment and see what benefits they offer you in terms of reductions. Be a smart shopper. Use coupons and get to know your stores and the cycles. One of the things that I found is that I was able to, certain markets, like for example, back when my kids were younger, I knew that on Thursdays, Food for Less had the chicken for 99 cents a pound. But I also knew that some of the other markets had other things like the milk, two for $3 at another place. And so I would plan a trip where I would take all my coupons and I would just go to each of the stores so that I would track the trip so that I wasn't spending too much money on gas. And I would buy all the food, going through those cycle sales, using the coupons, and come back with a really good amount of food for a very little bit of money. One of the things that we did was our daughter was in charge of finding all the savings and the coupons for us. And for every $100 she saved us, we gave her $20. So she got really good at being able to shop for specials, shop for, find the coupons and set up the cycling of the store. Because if you're working, you don't have time to do that. But if some of your children can help you, or some of your friends can help you, or together you work it together, it'll happen. Keep a journal on your spending. Know how much you're spending and where you're spending it. It's really important. One of the things that I tell people is the story of when we started to get ready to buy our home. My husband I used to tell him, stop spending so much money. We lived across the street from a 7-Eleven, and every morning he would go over to the 7-Eleven and talk to his friends and be speaking to them and stuff. There was a point when I finally started saving all of the receipts. And when I showed him that he had spent $765 on donuts and coffee and little sandwiches and whatever during the week, during that month, just at 7-Eleven, he understood what I meant about you're spending too much money there. So then he would only take $10 every morning for him to spend there, which reduced the amount that he was spending every month there. So that's why it's important for you to keep a journal. Look for ways to save on required expenses, like we talked earlier, like my medical insurance and how we reduced it. Look at ways to cut voluntary expenses and know how to access your credit report. Go to annualcreditreport.com, and there you can find, you can access free credit reports. You can also go to Experian, and at this point you can actually do like Credit Karma, or even your credit card companies offer free credit scores that you can look at. Okay, so is there any questions? I know we only have like 6 minutes left. Somebody indicated,
can you hear me?
somebody indicated that planting your own garden is also good.
Anita, can you hear?
I didn't hear you, you broke up. Hello?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Seema. Can you send me your email address, please?
I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, and so that way everyone has it. Okay, there's 3 credit counselors now, so all of you will probably be getting, you have the ability to talk to any one of us. It's either Del, Maureen, me, or Sylvia de la Mora, so that we can help more of you, because it got a little overwhelming just with me by myself. So there's my email address if anyone needs it. Let me also put in the number. Okay. Any other questions? All righty then. So we're going to go ahead and conclude this workshop. I look forward to talking to any of you that need any help from us. And please be aware that we do have a number of workshops coming up. Today, for example, we have the Skills for Life, Real Skills for Life workshop starting at 3. I know Tanisa has her last computer class with Microsoft tomorrow at 3, right, T? Is she still there? And then the last parenting class is on tomorrow at 3 for single parents, for our single parent program. So have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon at one of our other workshops.
Ma'am?
Yes?
Ma'am?
Yes?
I have a question. I would like to attend the workshop today at 3 o'clock, please.
I'll send you over I'll send it to Sylvia, and so she
Yes,
can forward it to you, okay, John C?
Yes, ma'am. And that is every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m., ma'am?
Correct. I'll send it over to you so you have it, okay?
Thank
And,
you. This was very helpful.
Once you attend today, we will go ahead and mail you the handbook, okay?
Okay, and